Okay, if we continue on in chapter 22, budgeting, the next exercise is number 17. Number 17, and it reads, Pet Supplies, the pet wholesaler, was organized on January 1st. Projected sales for the first 3 months of operations are as follows, January, February, March. All sales are on account. 75% of the sales are expected to be collected in the month of the sale, 20% in the following month, so 75 plus 20, now we got 95, 5% in the second month following the sale. All right, so all you do is, you can lay this out various ways again. Here's the January sales. So there was 300,000, so you got 75%, 20, and 5. Let's carry it out. February, there was 500,000. So you got 75, 20, and then there would have been 5 here in April. March, there would be 75% here. There would have been another 20% in April and another 5% in May. So this just shows how the cash flows would come into play with these AR, all these sales in AR. You know, the one thing it doesn't factor, which is unrealistic, is bad debts, right? There's no bad debts calculated. Number 19, schedule of cash payments. All right, this company was organized on February 28. Projected selling administrative expenses for each of the 3 months are as follows, March, April, May. Depreciation, insurance, and property taxes represent $9,000 of the estimated monthly expenses. The annual insurance premium was paid on February 28. And the property taxes for the year will be paid in June. So let's talk about that in a minute. Depreciation, insurance, and property taxes represent $9,000. It's in that number and those numbers above. The annual insurance premium, so the entire premium was paid on February 28, which is not any of these 3 months that we're looking at, March, April, and May. So it would all be prepaid, right? And we'd take the expense in each month. However, there's no cash flow in March, April, and May. It was all up front in February. And property taxes are the same thing. It's all paid in June. So we expense every month, but we don't actually have cash out. 75% of the remainder are expected to be paid in the month in which they're incurred, and then 25% the following. So the first thing you would do is, in March, there's 52.4 right here. We take away the 9 because those dollars were, those are expenses that don't represent a cash flow. That's the depreciation, insurance, and property taxes. Those were paid either in February and or in June. So March, April, and May, we got to back those out because they don't represent a cash flow number. So it says here 70%, I think I said 75, excuse me. So 70% in the first month, or in the month that incurred, 30% in the following. So 70, 30. April's 70, and then 30 in the following. May, 70, and then there would have been 30 in June. So that's how number 19 falls through. Number 21, go ahead and read through this and see how this is all laid out. But it's a capital expenditures budget. And what they're doing is, in a nutshell, they're taking the next 4 years and they're budgeting out when they believe that there will be expenses incurred for capital, building, equipment, or information systems, IT. I think the only one that probably deserves some explanation is the information technology, the IT. And I'm just going to read that paragraph because it's a little confusing. We need to upgrade our information systems to wireless network technology. It doesn't make sense to do this until after the whole factory is built and producing product. During 08, once the factory is up and running, we should equip the whole facility with wireless technology. I think it would cost us $800,000 today to install the technology. However, prices have been dropping by 25% per year. So it should be less expensive at that time. Well, if you read this problem, it says on January 1, 2006, the controller, and it goes on and on and on. So 2 years from now, in 2008, what they're saying is, right here, the price is going to go down 25% each year. So in the next year out, you say 800,000. Today it costs you 800,000. Tomorrow or next year, it's going to cost you 25% less, or 800,000 times 75%. Or in 2 years out, it would be 800,000 times 75% times 75%. So there's a dramatic savings if they wait 2 years. It's 800,000 today. 1 year from now, it'll be 25% off of that. And the second year beyond today would be yet another 25%. So that's how they're calculating that. And then also the only other explanation here is it said here in 2009 for the building that it would need another, if I read this right, let's show you here, Chief Operating Officer, we have been growing lately. I wouldn't be surprised if we need to expand the size of our new factory building in 9 by at least 35%. So what you do is you look at what have you got into your building, and that would be 10 million, and then do another expansion of 35%. Well, that's how they get to their 3.5 million. And then the last one that we have for today is problem 2A. And there's all kinds of projections here, budgets, purchase budgets, direct materials budgets. Kind of a nice recap of the entire chapter. So it says sales, production, direct materials, purchases, and direct labor cost budgets. So the budget director of this grill company requests estimates of sales, production, and other operating data for the various administrative units every month. So what they asked for in this problem is a sales budget, and I'm just going to do an overview of this problem. A sales budget, part 1, and again, it's the 2 types of products by area, and then times their selling price. And again, you can set this up various ways, but ultimately we're all going to get to what is the total budgeted revenue. Step 2, it says prepare a production budget. So we got the 2 types again, the backyard chef and the master chef. You know, what do we expect to sell? What do we want to have for ending inventory? What did we start with? What do we need to produce? Same setup every time. Part 3 is the direct materials purchases budget. So there's 4 components to it: the grates, stainless steel, the sub-assemblies, the burner, and then the shelves. And again, based upon the 2 types, exactly like the problem that we did in the exercises, the 2 types, and we look at how many grates are needed for the backyard shelf, how many stainless steel in pounds for the backyard shelf, the burners, and the shelves. And then what do they want to have for ending inventory? Again, very similar, right? Very similar to the same setup. What do we want for ending inventory for grates, etc.? What did we start with grates all the way down? And then the problem provides you what is the price per grate in units, and what is the price per pound for stainless steel? What is the price per unit for the burners, and price per unit for the shelves? And then you know what is your direct materials purchases budget, which is really telling you what is going to be your cash need. So the materials purchase budget is very, very important, because that will affect your projected cash outflow in significant ways. And then number 4, it's the labor budget. Again, there is 3 departments: stamping, forming, and assembly. Again, looking at it by the 2 types of products we produce, the backyard chef and the master chef, and how many hours are going to be needed. Well, for stamping, they provided you that information, all right? And then what is the hourly rate for the stamping department versus the forming department versus the assembly department. And then ultimately what that gives you is what are we looking at for total direct labor, our direct labor costs. Again, another very important budget as it affects our cash outflow, right? It's going to essentially affect our cash outflow. So we need to know how much hours are we going to be needing in order to fulfill the needs in our production. So that basically, in a nutshell, recaps all of Chapter 22. I would encourage you to take the time to re-review what we have done and make certain that you've got this understood before we move on to the next chapter. Thank you.